Alright, doing another PCB vid today. Here's one I haven't done yet. This is going to be X Multiply by Irem. X Multiply was pretty much Irem's shooter following up the original R-Type. And so naturally it runs on your typical standard Irem M72 board set, which I've done a few videos of Irem games on this board set, and yeah, it's pretty much the same thing as always. Though, my board here though is actually, the board set was actually originally a Ninja Spirit board, and with an X Multiply ROM kit installed in it. Which makes things kind of interesting, because see here, on your typical Irem M72 game, there's actually cables connecting the bottom two boards. But X Multiply, as you notice, the cable's completely gone, but it still works just fine. And some of the other older M72 games, like R-Type, like my R-Type board, which is totally, original, doesn't even have these connectors. But yeah, Irem's hardware is weird. Basically just slap shit together and as it's needed. But I like their games a lot. One of my favorite companies. So let's just switch it on here. And just like just about all the other Irem games, they run at a slightly unusual resolution. So your standard RGB TV, like I'm using here, can't quite display it right unless you really tinker around with the overscan. So for that reason, the status bar is going to be cut off. Like you won't be able to see the scores and stuff that are at the bottom. But I mean, normally I play my Irem games on my actual cab. But being a table cab, it's just about impossible to make videos off of. So, that's okay, you don't need the status bar. This game doesn't even have a charge attack or anything like that. It's just really for lives and scores. Alright. So, this game, if you're not familiar with it, you're actually inside a woman's body fighting off an invasion. And yeah, this was Irem's shooter following R-Type. And R-Type was fairly horrific when it came out. I mean, sure, it's not scary anymore in this day and age, but at the time it was fairly gruesome. And this one, they decided to make it even more gruesome. Focus, you're inside a body. And just tried to make it, nice and disturbing, which some ways they succeeded on, some ways they didn't, to be honest. To be honest, opinions on this game are very, very mixed. Some people really love this game, but then lots of people will tell you it's so-so at best. Myself, I've got a real love-hate relationship going on with this game. There are days where I absolutely love it, and then there are times where it's just like, yeah, this isn't very good. To be fair, it's a solid game. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. But the main problem is that it tries to, Irem tried to basically make a better game than R-Type here, and in that way they kind of failed. The graphics are nice. It's got some great music, some great ideas, but it's just not that, I don't know. The game only, for example, the game only uses one button to shoot. And you got your little tentacle things that move around and act as shields, but that's basically it. You just kind of mash the fire button, dodge stuff, and definitely one of Irem's simpler horizontal shooters. You know, usually they come up with some pretty, you know, interesting stuff, and this one is, there's nothing wrong with the game, it just doesn't, it feels like the quality's a little lower than what you normally expect from them. The other problem is, since, you know, you could tell they wanted to kind of build off the success of R-Type, but make it a bit more accessible, as the game is is one of their easier shooters, probably. It's far from a cakewalk, but it's definitely much easier than, say, you know, R-Type. And the other problem is, you know, that they kind of, like, you know, obviously the most famous level in R-Type by far was the giant ship level, level 3. And so they decided to make another one of those for this game, which is what we're seeing now, level 2 here. And while this thing does look awesome, lots of detail, and it's creepy looking, it's just not very fun to play, because as you can see, I'm just sitting here shooting, and nothing can hit me. Sit here, shoot, shoot, shoot. So it's, atmosphere-wise, the game's great, but playability-wise, it's definitely a step back from R-Type. So, I like the game, but there's some days when I'll sit there and pull this out and just be like, why am I playing this? And I could just play R-Type instead. Like, R-Type is definitely the superior game. But it's a solid shooter. And definitely worth trying. There's a very nice port of it on the Saturn that also includes, you know, Image Fight, which is an amazing game. So the graphics are nice, wonderful, freaky stuff, but it's just, the game is missing something. Like, you know, R-Type and most of Irem's games have that pull factor, that holy shit, this is awesome, I want to play this over and over again thing. And there's just something missing in this game. I think it's just that, you know, they tried to make another R-Type while wanting to make it different, but it's not unique enough to really be incredible. And yeah, I think that's just what it is. You can really see like the similarities, but it's just moving around these tentacles just isn't as fun as, you know, doing a precision shot with your wave cannon. Or the force. The first two stages are pretty easy. Like, that boss is a joke. Just watch the lasers and you're fine. It does get a lot harder, but see, the music is pretty nice. Probably one of their better soundtracks, which is saying a lot. Generally, Irem is pretty decent when it comes to making, you know, music. They're probably the masters of FM. Too many speed ups. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I love the game. Sometimes I just really don't like it at all. And it seems to be fairly common with this game. You either love it or you hate it, or you go back and forth. It's definitely a good game. It's just, I don't know, it lacks that kind of X factor that makes you really want to play it over other games. So yeah. Still though, if it's your kind of thing, let's get that one up big time. It's worth checking out. Since it is fairly unpopular, it's a fairly cheap board to get. And the Saturn version is also easier to get. But even still, considering that this is one of Irem's, not good game, well, one of their, I can say less good games, it's still pretty decent. It's solid. For sure. Let's see if I can get here. Thought I was going to hit the block, so that's okay. I haven't played this one in a while. Recently the Mega Drive's been getting a lot of my attention. But people seem to love the arcade vids, so I thought I'd pull this one out for a few hours and play a bit. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I should be doing more with this game. Like most Irem games, it's all about using the right weapon at the right time. And this one is, but truth be told, generally I recommend just getting the laser and sticking with it most of the time. There's just I don't know, it's like maybe just because it's only one button, it just feels like there's something missing in the design. It's a little too simple coming from Irem. I guess you could say. That's enough of that. Still, it's a good game. It's solid. There's nothing wrong with it. Just, yeah. I can see why it's one of their less popular games, but today I like it. Tomorrow I might hate it. Who knows? But definitely give it a chance. It's definitely a piece of history. And the music's great. I do like the music a lot. Blech. See you later.